Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers Pregame Show presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY Hockey to get Coors Light delivered or find a store near you. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your Director of Fun and Games for the evening. Joining me again, look at this, back-to-back pre- and post-games is Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Henkel. Hanks, how you doing tonight?
William. Better tonight, because tonight we didn't have to put real pants on to do this show.
Oh, being in sweats is pretty nice. We are on back-to-backs, as are our Flyers, as they travel from Vancouver to Calgary for game number 2 of the season. It's Flyers Flames coming to you from the Saddle Dome tonight at 10 o'clock. We are here with you until 10 o'clock on this pregame show. And I just want to get right into it because, honestly, I couldn't sleep last night. Way too flyered up. And I have an information-dense outline. Usually the pregame outline is just like 3 topics, and then we'll figure it out. And tonight, I actually have things I want to talk about. So let's get into it. First thing, Kelly, they're starting this season on this road trip. We know about the late games. They're starting with a back-to-back. Now, typically, you don't love the back-to-back. It's just, it's tough, especially on the road. But like we've talked about a little bit with this West Coast trip, the players like getting it out of the way. They're not already tired. They, like we talked about last night, hadn't played in 10 days until last night. So while it's, we just played, but it's your first game of the season now, your second. We talked a little. Do you think tonight is... all right, just got to get through this. It's a back-to-back on the road. Let's do it. Or maybe a carryover. I don't want momentum, tough to say, day to day can carry over. But do you think maybe it can just be, all right, they started to find themselves. Mish started to absolutely find himself in that third period last night. Do you think we see a continuation of that? Maybe it's almost a good thing that they're on back-to-backs?
Yeah, I think you might be onto something. I mean, there is no way that games 1 and 2 back-to-back is the same as like a mid-March back-to-back on the West Coast.
Game
like
70 and 71.
Right.
That's
those are torture for everybody. This not so bad. And I do think that you're right. They really started to come on in the third period. And then obviously winning it in the shootout. Cool. So yeah, I do kind of think there's a little bit of an advantage of them getting right back to it so quickly. Because I mean, I know momentum's not real, and like, especially game to game, it's a little bit hard to say that it actually is a thing that exists. But I do think that they're probably still a little bit amped up from that win. And hopefully that energy carries into the first period tonight and we don't see another slow start. That would be very nice.
I could absolutely do without the slow start. It would be nice to get a lead. And we're going to talk about Calgary later in the show because I was just looking at their roster last night, staring at it. Like, what are they? But they did in their opening game in Vancouver erase a 3-0 and 4-1 deficit to come back and win 6-5 in overtime. So maybe they have a little bit more firepower. Could have just maybe been a goaltending issue for the Canucks. But first, I want to get into the Flyers lineup tonight. Like we said, they are on back-to-backs. One of a couple of guys who is not on back-to-backs. We'll start with the re-debut of Ivan Fedotov. He is in for Sam Ersson. We had our takes ready, Kelly, because we got the report. We got the report from Ryan Pike today, a writer out in Calgary, about the very optional morning skate, and it seemed as if, all right, well, these are all guys who are going to be out. And Jett Luchanko was in there, as was Ivan Fedotov. And typically it would be the goalie not starting.
Right.
And after an entire offseason of going, all right, well, now we can evaluate Sam Ersson because he's going to be on normal rest and he's going to have a normal season where he doesn't have to start, 31 of 36 or whatever the hell it was down the stretch last year. And then it was, oh my God, are they starting the year with back-to-backs? And I had
really
a whole bunch of... I had a whole bunch of Kolosov takes ready and all sorts of stuff, but it will be Fedotov and net for the Flyers, and that's just what makes sense, right?
It makes sense, and also it's good because we got to see as early as possible what we got going on here. Because if he does, in fact, stink, they're going to have to make a decision on what they're going to do. And, there's been all that speculation about, like, if Kolosov doesn't get any NHL time, is he going to ask to go back to the KHL? Was that an agreement that maybe they made with him to get him to come over here? We don't know. But it could be. So we got to find out pretty early here if Fedotov's got it. And the only way to do that is for him to play games. So while it definitely makes sense for him to play on a back-to-back, it would have been absolutely insane if they had gone with Tyson. It would have been crazy. But also, like, even if they weren't on a back-to-back, I feel like you have to get Fedotov in as many games as you can stand because you got to see what he is.
You have to see what he is. And it's like my thing was going to be, because there was that report. I think it, like, Friedman, if he didn't break it, at least commented on it, that Flyers only have till the end of October for Kolosov to say if he's happy or not. And it's like, well, if you're afraid to play him, and if you're afraid to play Fedotov in game 2 in a back-to-back, why isn't Kolosov just the backup? And like, what are we doing? But it looks as if this is going to be normal, and Kolosov gets the start for the Phantoms opener tonight. It sounded like he was coming up pretty big, at least in the first period, from what I was following on Twitter. But we're going to get to see Fedotov and Ersson not playing in the back-to-back. So it's all normal. We don't have to freak out about that.
Not yet.
However, we did have a confirmation. I saw Charlie tweeted it just a little bit ago that Noah Cates in, and I wondered if he was going to work his way in. There's a couple of guys we said who, Paling didn't have a great preseason. Lawton, you wonder what his role is. Jett Luchanko coming out of the lineup. It will be Noah Cates centering that third line tonight. What do you think about this, Hinkle? And it seems like Tortorella, Charlie asked, like, is this we're trying to stretch his entry-level contract thing, stretch the 9 games so it's more. We talked about this a little last night, like maybe the Carlson treatment from last year, Leo Carlson, where they didn't play him a ton early. They gave him back-to-backs and stuff off. But this was kind of just, listen, ton of travel. He's brand new to the NHL. It's a back-to-back. We don't want to overload him. We're giving him the night off. How you feel?
I think it's totally fine. Like, it seems like I talk, specifically me, all the time about how I wish the NHL had something resembling load management, that they actually
a tiny bit,
managed their guys the way that other sports do, rather than acting like the only time you come out of the lineup is if you're being punished. I think it's a good idea to let this actual child ease in to the NHL. So tonight he gets to sit up in the press box with Charlie and watch from above and learn that way. Like, that's another way that he's going to learn how to play this game at the NHL level. And so rather than playing him 9 straight and wearing him down to the bone, and then he looks like crap, and you're like, well, I guess we have no choice but to send him back. And then you're sending him back, like, he got hit a couple of times real big last night. And that's like, welcome.
He had that one where he got
rocked. Like,
he looked on the bench.
Are going to hit you very hard. Yeah. So, like, maybe it's a good idea to just, let him recover a little bit from his first time at full NHL speed getting hit by a grown man. Like, it's probably for the best.
Now, I'm a little disappointed. And listen, we did that watch along last night. It's hard to catch everything. So last night, like I was telling Kelly before we started, I was up till like 6 last night. I was just a little flyered up. I ended up watching a lot of the replay and doing that from the comfort of my own couch without having to like pseudo play-by-play and BS and do whatever the hell watch-alongs are supposed to be. We're still figuring it out, guys.
We're figuring it out.
We're still figuring it out. I saw a little bit more from Luchanko than I thought. Again, he wasn't perfect. The goal he got beat on, that absolutely was his guy. Tortorella confirmed it. Also, there were things leading up to it that it's like, well, he could also never been in that position if we maybe made some plays before that. But I did think he was a little better than we gave him credit for last night. He ended up with 3 shot attempts, only the 1 shot on goal. But he was more involved. Third period, he played almost 5.5 minutes, which was the most he played in any period. He played a minute plus shift in overtime. So they, what was it? 25 minutes. He played over, he played basically 6:36 of that. He played like a quarter of the third period in overtime. They trusted him with the minutes. They must have liked what they were seeing out of him. And he did have flashes. Like, he got robbed on that rebound with him and Michkov out there. I thought he was a little more involved than I thought, and I was just looking forward to seeing him build on that. But for at least, 8 more games after tonight, we will get to hopefully see that opportunity. It's a little disappointing because, we want to see
the. Watch,
I know what Noah Cates is, as much as, okay, maybe he's got something more, and he's maybe part of this thing, maybe not. We need to figure him out too. I mean, the difference between what I think Luchanko can be and what I think Cates can be is like the difference between North and South Korea. It's
a very good way to describe it. Yes,
it's an Entourage reference, actually. It's a Johnny Drama line, I think.
Nice.
But no, I would just rather see Luchanko.
Yeah, of course.
If they're going to play this smart and just try to make sure it's a manageable workload for him.
Yep.
I know there's going to be the, play the kids. Listen, we've been doing this together almost 10 years, Hinkle. We've been yelling about that for the majority of the time.
Yes.
We referenced Bunneman and Terensky last night. We much lesser players, we've been yelling at them to play.
Yes.
But I don't think this is going to be and now he hasn't seen the ice in a week. I bet you he's out there in the next game.
And this also isn't we're taking Luchanko out to get Delorier in or something stupid like that. I feel like when we're shouting about playing the kids, that's usually the swap the kind of swap that we're looking at. This is very clearly we're going to give this kid a little rest. And also, like you said, Noah Cates is not a bad player. He wasn't in the press box because he's not good. There just literally was not a spot for him on the roster last night. And so they made a spot so they can get a look at him too. I do think in an ideal world, the Flyers would have found a way to clear out something that would have given Cates a more regular spot. But also, I know people really love Noah Cates, and I do acknowledge that there are parts of his games that are very good and that he's a useful NHL hockey player. But also, I don't care.
Yeah, that's he's a useful NHL player. He can play a role in your bottom six. At the end of the day, he is not going to ever be a difference maker.
No, I feel like Noah Cates is the kind of player like Torinsky and Bunneman that as Flyers fans, we've had nothing better than to focus on a guy like Noah Cates. And so we get very obsessed with them. And now all of a sudden, there are precious babies that we can never do away with because a very good bottom six forward was the best thing that we saw come out of this organization in 5 years. We got to get past that because it's different now. We have actually good players that we can play. So I like Noah Cates. If there was a spot for him to play, cool, play him. But if there's not, all right.
This is fine getting him into the lineup. You don't want guys sitting forever. Again, it's been 10 days since they've played. Get him in. That's fine. It makes sense.
Sure.
As long as this doesn't become a week-long thing. You know what's going to happen is Noah Cates is going to score tonight.
He's going to have a sick game. He's going to have a ridiculous game.
He is going to have 3 points tonight, and we're going to have to figure something else out entirely.
Yeah.
But too many good players is a fine problem to have.
Take it.
That's fine. That's absolutely cool. One more thing on the lineup before we move on, Hinks. Mm-hmm. A little surprised Andre won't be in for Zamula or Johnson.
I was surprised, but I maintain that John Tortorella doesn't like him. And I think that given that Eric Johnson, I'm not gonna say he was good, but he didn't do anything horrifically bad last night. So Torts was probably oh well, no reason to take him out because I don't really.
This is interesting actually here, Kelly. Bryn just put up Charlie's lines and pairings tweet. Yeah. And it's actually Lawton, Cates, Hathaway, fourth line, Tippett, Paling, Foerster.
Oh, here comes Paling.
Line. Here comes Ryan Paling. Working his way up.
Line center by the end of the night.
Working his way up. Oh, yeah, that's because Farabee, Couturier, Brink.
That
line last night was on defense a lot. And Farabee and Brink were on defense a lot when they were with Luchanko, and then it got moved around, and the other lines were doing well, and Farabee and Brink with Coots didn't. So I bet you we see Paling with Farabee and Brink at some point.
I think so, 100%.
But so that's the confirmation there. It's York, Sanheim, Zamula, Risto, and Johnson, Drysdale on your blue line. While we don't have our 18-year-old shiny new toy, we do have the 19-year-old in the lineup. Matvei Michkov out on that first line with Morgan Frost and TK. Those guys, when they got put together late in the game last night, looked strong together. And it's somewhat the line, at least the Frost and Mish pairing that we've been talking about all preseason. Like, let's try to make the most out of those two's offensive abilities. They're going to be out there with TK, so that's not a ton of defense out there, but score, baby. That's all you got to do.
I don't want no defense. I don't want any defense out of any of them.
Never play defense.
No, don't play a single minute of defense while you're out there, boys. Let the defenseman and the goalie deal with it. You just go out there and do greasy things in the offensive zone. That's what I want from you.
Mish came close, had a couple of highlight reel, near highlight reel plays last night.
Sure
really great goaltending performance out of Kevin Lankinen for Vancouver. He could have had a few otherwise. So I am betting on Mish to score again. I'm going right back to the well.
I love
this pregame pick segment is brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. So last night, like I said, up late, I was on Bet365's app when I saw the odds for today get posted. And Michkov, he was plus 180 to score last night. Jumped a little, got really nice odds when I bet him at plus 240. It's down to plus 220, but that's still great after plus 180 last night. So get on me. She's going to score eventually. We're just going to keep betting it till it comes through, baby. And I've decided I am going to get on a Foerster hot streak as well.
Okay.
Scored the first goal of the Flyers season last night. So I checked out his game logs. You know, we always say scorers, they're streaky. Foerster's a scorer. In that little tryout he got a couple of years ago, Foerster scored 3 goals over his final 4 games before being sent down, which leads you to wonder, why didn't they keep him up?
Yeah.
But anyway, we talked about his droughts last night and what he went through last season. He also had a few really good streaks. 4 goals in 3 games for goals number 2 to 5 of the season last year. And he had another 4 and 3 game streak in late February. I'm thinking he needs to get on those streaks, keep those going. Maybe he's the guy who's starting the season hot. So we are going to take Tyson Foerster to score at plus 280. And those are our Bet365 pregame picks for tonight. This is, of course, the pregame show brought to you by our friends at Coors Light. Grab those Blue Mountains out of your refrigerator and choose chill with our friends at Coors Light. All right, another thing I want to talk about tonight, Hinks, is the special teams.
Yes.
The power play, it wasn't great, but it's never going to be great. I mean, not in the immediate future, at least. But 1 for 4, they had their moments. They had some opportunities last night.
Scoring
25% is they scored. I don't care if they were 1 for 10. They got 1.
They got 1, right.
Like, they had plenty of offers last season and plenty of opportunities. 1 for 4. I would like to see that top unit get it going a little bit more. I think now with maybe a side effect of Mish being with TK and Frost at 5-on-5, maybe they can build a bit more chemistry and bring that out when they have the extra man, and they can get that going a little bit. But the power play, somewhat improved. I mean, they scored. Like that.
They scored a goal.
They scored all. It's a freaking improvement, and we saw that last night. I want to see that continue. I would like to see them again carry some momentum. You get some offensive zone time early in this game. Maybe you can draw some penalties, score a little bit early, and not have to win in a shootout. Maybe don't take it to a shootout.
Listen to me now, Philadelphia Flyers. Do not go to overtime tonight.
Oh, Hinkle, no, we're home tonight, so it's going to be a 90-minute game. Like, this thing is going to fly by.
No whistles.
None.
0 penalties.
No, there's going to be 1 penalty, a 2-1 game with 1 penalty. Like, that's what's going to happen tonight. And on the other end, while Sam Ersson was a huge part of it, like, he absolutely bailed them out at points last night. 5-on-5, PK, overtime, shootout, all of it. They were 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. That elite penalty kill looks at least to be carrying over. Yeah. And I want to see more of that power kill tonight.
Me too. They were looking aggressive. They didn't get a shorthanded attempt on every one of those penalty kills, but they were clearly playing that aggressive PK style that I think we all have come to enjoy. That will lead to shorties every now and again, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, the PK continuing to be good is excellent news because, it's a young team. They're probably going to take a lot of penalties over the course of the season. And the power play visually did not look better.
It's a quote that we'll always have fun with.
It's just so jumbly, Bill. Why is it so jumbly?
It just
we talked about it a lot last night during the play-by-play. Like, it's just so messy. I just don't know what they're doing.
Maybe I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the number of penalties last night. As we talked throughout the game, it very much looked like a team playing their first game.
Yes.
And it's going to take a while to get up to speed. Maybe don't take 5 penalties, though.
Would be better if they did not do that, yes.
Like Frost, Michkov, York with stick penalties. That's just like sloppy.
Lazy, yeah.
Just be a little bit smarter. Just be take one more stride rather than reaching with your stick or doing what, and you can eliminate that. But like Lawton's trip, too many men, just don't do that. And again, stuff to be worked out as the season goes along. It looked like the first non-exhibition game. They were still a little bit in preseason mode. So hopefully they can work that out. And those, I think that's really the key tonight. Special teams, and we'll see about Ivan Fedotov. And of course, more Michkov mania. Let's do it. Let's get that first goal.
If we can get 2 power play goals in 2 games, I'm not sure I'm going to know how to act. That's crazy.
And I don't even care if they're 1 for 6, and it drags the percent. It doesn't matter. Just cashing in on some power plays is so big for this team. A few minutes left here before we get to the see if we have any super chats. But I want to talk about the opponent tonight, the Calgary Flames, Hinkle, because that was another thing I just spent a lot of time looking at last night, just over on Puckpedia, looking at what the hell they are. Fun opener for them. This is their home opener after they opened in Vancouver the other night, won 6-5 in overtime. But you just look at this team. They traded Markstrom to the Devils, and they're retaining almost $2 million this year and next year. They traded Lindholm, Zadorov, Tanev, and Hannafin all at the deadline last spring. They have the 3rd lowest payroll in the league. But then you look at the rest of their roster.
It's so weird.
They still have Huberdeau. He's 31, and he's signed at $10.5 million. He's on their 3rd line left wing right now till 2031. He's already 31 years old. They have Naz Kadri, already 34, at $7 million until 2029. And they have Mackenzie Weegar, who's 30, at $6.25 until 2031. What the hell is this team?
So I feel like the Flames are what people who hate the Flyers think the Flyers are.
Yes. They're
neither rebuilding nor competing. They're also not really mediocre. They're kind of not that good, really.
Yeah, I think mediocre is what they're they're that mushy middle.
Yeah.
I think they had the same number of points or same number of wins as the Flyers last year. And it's well, you're not in the Metro, so it's a little different how far you are out of the division.
Right. In that division, you should be able to get a bunch of wins if you're not a crappy hockey
That's the thing.
team.
Man, there's a couple of teams out there that aren't trying. And while the Flames maybe aren't actively trying, when you have, 10.5, 17.5, almost 25 mil wrapped up in 3 guys, you're not trying.
No. And it's weird because when you look at that roster, I don't know what the forward motion is. I don't know what they do.
They're just stuck. They have to get to a point where they can buy some guys out. They just have to wait it out.
Because you can't trade any of those dudes.
No. Who's taking Huberdeau
Nobody.
at 10.5?
You'd have to retain 75%.
No, if you retain 50, you might as well just wait to be able to buy him out.
That's true.
That's
true.
The situation it is. And I don't know what they're, and I think all these guys have at least some sort of trade protection as well.
Probably.
So they're I don't know.
I don't
send me somewhere I want. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, Vegas and Nashville don't want you. They got good players. Like, yeah, it's the Florida can't. Florida already sent you away, Huberto.
Right.
Like, you're not going
Sorry.
there. So I just like looking at this team. No game is ever going to be easy. The Flyers aren't good enough, but if this wasn't a back-to-back, I'd absolutely be betting on the Flyers tonight.
Oh no, see,
And Fedotov, like Huberto,
who knows?
What is this
Kadri
team?
is their number one center is wild. Like Nazem Kadri should not be a number one center on anyone's hockey team in the year of our Lord 2024.
No.
I don't like him, but he's
no, he's
he's a third line center at this point.
No, like what he did with Colorado, like
that's where he belongs. Right.
That was their depth matchup that made them a Stanley Cup champion. But like, they have McKinnon and Landeskog too. You know, like it's just they're a mess, and it's just kind of waiting it out. They do have Dustin Wolf, the young goalie, going tonight, so that'll be fun to watch. Fedotov v. Wolf.
No, I had the goalie wrong in my preview.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
it's not Dan Vladar. Okay.
I don't work at Broad Street Hockey anymore.
I know, nobody cares.
I care,
I would say I'm gonna take it like to the end of what you were trying to say there. Like, I do think this is a team that the Flyers should beat. Like, I think that on paper,
I think they have more talent.
The Flyers are a better hockey team than this team. They should beat them. It should not be one of these games that they have to play at a 100% perfect A game in order to win. Like, they should be able to win this hockey game. And I think if they don't, it's going to be on the back of Ivan Fedotov flippity-floppiting all over the ice.
Fedotov plus back-to-back is what scared me off of betting on the Flyers. Again, I don't know, like game 2, if a back-to-back is really that big a deal. Also,
we're going to see.
They did have to travel and everything and then play. So we heard all preseason how hard that is. So we will see how they look tonight. I am looking forward to hopefully a big Flyers W. Let's hit those super chats.
Yay.
All right. First one up here from JH. Sexy Alexi is the backup by Monday.
That's like practically tomorrow, bud. So you're expecting a real bad game from Ivan Fedotov,
I'm not putting that out there. As much as I think like that would be fun. Like if we see some Alexei Kolosov, if they were to carry 3 goalies or something, and if they do have only till like, less than 3 weeks to make a decision, like it would be cool if he got some time. But I want to see the Flyers win tonight, and that would mean they don't.
And I want Ivan Fedotov to be good.
Yeah,
like that's the best outcome for all of us. Like
really
I want him to be good.
Yeah. Like that guy deserves. Like
he deserves.
I hope.
Things.
Yeah, like he's been through a lot. Rooting for him, but it would be cool to see some Kolosov at some point.
It would.
All right, let's hit that next one. From Corey. So is Frost securely out of the doghouse now?
No,
never.
I maintain that once you're one of the guys that has lived in that doghouse, you never get all the way out.
I would say
it's not as bad as it was.
Sanheim and TK prove that's not all the way true.
Was TK ever real in there though?
I just remember, I think it was a San Jose game where everybody sucked, but someone has to play. So Torts sent the message by just benching Hayes and benching TK, and they did not play at all at the end.
Yeah.
I think maybe the whole second half of the game. And TK has since worked his way out of that doghouse. And, Kevin Hayes is on his second team since then.
I mean, Torts never called TK a toilet seat to the press. So I don't know if it was quite as bad.
I get what you're going for here, but just come up with a different analogy. Like,
that was a weird one.
Does not put a good image in people's head.
Nobody likes
it. All right, let's hit this next one here from Gary B. Hot take: Matvei notches a power play goal this game. I don't know how hot. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, it's not that hot.
That wouldn't shock me a little bit.
Not spicy.
He started to get. He really definitely looked like he was gripping his stick a little bit too hard last night.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the third period, he looked like
he got real close. Yes.
It's there, man. It's coming. Maybe tonight. And if it's on the power play, even better. All right. I believe we have one more from Vince. Why not us? Maybe. I mean, 2-0. They're on. Listen, you have Tyson Foerster on pace for 82 goals.
82-0.
They're undefeated. The power play is at
25%.
They're undefeated in the shootout this year. Did you see what I tweeted out about the shootout earlier, Kelly?
The 61 out of 100.
61 out of 100, but 7-4 since Tortorella got here. 4th in the league by winning percentage in the shootout. They're actually good at it now. It's a new era of Orange.
That is a new era of Orange.
It certainly is. And we will be watching game 2 of the 2024-25 season. We're not doing a watch along tonight. You don't have to watch us watch it, but we will be back with post game soon as the game goes final. This has been the PHLY Flyers pregame show presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY hockey to get Coors Light delivered or find a store near you. Until post game, my name is Bill Matz. That's Kelly Hinkle. Let's go Flyers!